I see lenders as like the engine of the economy, right? So being that engine of the economy, if we can reduce the cost and friction of generating that loan for that business owner, for that student, for that single parent that it so badly needed to like kind of get to that next level, we know that we're doing like a very important contribution to society.
Today's guest is Andres Klaric of Fuse
Yeah.
Finance. I'm really interested to hear about your business and how you got started, Andres.
Hey, Michael, great to be here, and thanks for inviting me to the show. We actually started first Fuse as a direct-to-consumer brand, so we were actually selling loans to banks, credit unions, and finance company. The insight that we had was that there was an opportunity to facilitate the process of originating loans. What we didn't know is that technology infrastructure in which we had built that brand was far more valuable than the brand itself. So within weeks of going live, we started getting our partners to tell us, "Hey guys, out of curiosity, who's your vendor for this? Who's your vendor for that?" And then we realized that like what they were actually asking us is that like the implied question was, "We're not that interested in your loans. We're much more interested in buying technology from you." So fast forward to today, 4 years later, we're actually an infrastructure player rather than a direct to consumer. But we would have never had that insight had we not been the first user. So the product that is used by multiple lenders throughout the U.S. now.
Yeah, isn't it fascinating how the customer's problems, if you can just get on the call and listen to them, then that becomes your new product.
Exactly. It's incredible. Like, the epiphany, like, and I think you need to keep that open mind, right? As a founder that, the business, wins might take in different directions, and that your adaptability and reacting to those, what many will consider setbacks, are actually the opportunities that actually get you closer to product market fit.
What made you decide to build out that infrastructure in the first place? Did you recognize that there wasn't a vendor that you wanted more control or something over?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question. Yes, they were slow, they were expensive, it took forever.
Yeah.
That was it.
So once you figured out that that was a huge problem and that you couldn't use that service for your own loans, then you went on to like building that tech. Is that your background as well?
My co-founder has that background. I am much more finance and kind of like legal side of things. But I think the two of us share the vision of like, this needs to be cost efficient for us to scale. And the, the, the offerings in the marketplace were not cost efficient. They were not modern, and they were not the best partners, we would want. So I think, first we didn't realize, well, this is the market where we want to be, but we quickly realized that was where we needed to be.
So how's it going? How's the growth? Has it been that case where the market like pulled all the growth out of you, like more than you ever thought was going to happen, or
Yeah, yeah, and we've been lucky. I mean, obviously, I've had the experience of essentially having two startups in one startup, right? So, um, the 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 direct to consumer business was very fun, but the switching to B2B has been phenomenal experience. Obviously has a different dynamics on how the sales cycles operate. How do you go about the sales motion? But it's night and day in terms of like being able to realize where you stand. You're not as, uh, uh, you don't live off the TikTok or Facebook algorithm. You live off just building an excellent product. And I like owning my odds with success to a higher level of degree, a higher degree to what we had before.
so how do you get the word out? So right, B2C, right? You might have been on social media, but
Right.
now that you're B2B, business to business, how do you get those businesses aware of what you have to offer?
well, word of mouth is huge, right? Word of mouth continues to be one of the most powerful sources. I would say second to that is probably outbound, having a really good outbound motion, and getting as much data and good calls in place. And depending on the vertical where you go, conferences remain, especially like in industry specific conferences, very important.
Do you like set up a booth, or do you just go as an individual and try to talk to people?
It depends. Some of them like you want to be a sponsor. The booth in general, it depends. I wouldn't describe it as a, especially if you're a founder, like being in the booth doesn't always help. You're kind of static there. Like you should be kind of more in the discussions and kind of hopefully presenting. But being there, I mean, it's a great signal to the market, right? Like, hey, I paid X amount of dollars to be here. Like I'm serious about this.
So how do you make it happen that you're presenting at the convention?
I think you need to known for being a thought leader, relevant, and whenever that you actually are producing content out there, and that you're not necessarily going to go and talk about views, because otherwise everything looks like a infomercial, and I don't think anyone enjoys seeing through that. Through that, I'm sure that at some point you've been on vacation and they wanted to sell you a timeshare. Like, and in order for you to get free breakfast, you need to feel that like you need not only feel, it needs to be value oriented, right? And um, you should be selling only 10% of the time. 90% of the time, you should be actually providing value and making sure that uh, your target audience thinks highly of you by virtue of, hey, like this person is actually has interesting views on this. It's a differentiated perspective. And if I ever decide to do XYZ with my software, I'll probably check with that person, right? That's kind of what you want to aim for.
How do you, what's your niche for yourself, like your own personal brand? How do you differentiate yourself?
I try to create as much content that is relevant to my audience, right? Like I talk a lot about uh, lending automation, but that's just relevant to a very small subset of people, right? Like 99% of the world probably doesn't care a lot at all, right? But there's this niche that really cares about it and kind of goes the entire day kind of thinking about, hey, how can I make my process more efficient? Because their bonus or their business hinges on the success of that piece of software. So I speak to that audience, try to create value for that audience. And like the beauty with technology now is that those audiences are going to start finding themselves, right? And hopefully like they find useful what you create intentionally for them.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you have to have kind of like a unique perspective. How did you go about developing that for yourself?
I think it's a mosaic of first you just understand what the pain points in the marketplace are. Like what what are they telling you? And you put together like a, a view in terms of like, this is where we are today. This is the gap. This is how we're seeing being solved. This is how we've solved it. This is how others have solved it. And, and the benefits of one juxtapose one against each other. Uh, I think it's also important to cross pollinate from other industries, right? Like of course, we serve banks, but that doesn't mean that there's nothing to be learned from healthcare or other consumer industries that are delighting customers in a way that in the banking industry take a little bit longer because there's obviously like the fear around regulation.
Yeah. So how do you work with when you work with healthcare? Do you work with like
We don't work with healthcare, but I'm just telling you, like, let's say we read about like solutions. For example, what we facilitated is making the process of lending fast, right? So when I think about it, is, oh wow, how can we make this experience akin to the process of getting a Lyft or an Uber, right? How can we make this as easy to the terms and conditions to be understandable in the same way that like when you get your bill for a utility, it's like, okay, I spend this, I use that, right? Kind of not, I'm not sure the utility bill is the best example, but just get a sense of that you are understanding and everything you're doing and make it and get it from industries that are doing it better than your industry, right? And that's the beauty about the power of analogy, right? The human species, most of the things that we've achieved as species by virtue of like extrapolating concepts from one area of expertise to another and going for it.
Yeah. What industries do you work with now? You said you work with banks. What other industries do you work with currently?
Just lenders. We just work with lenders, like so finance companies, banks, credit unions, credit funds. It's all kind of in the general area of finance.
You said you extrapolate concepts from one area and
Yeah.
put to another,
Sorry.
right? So you've got like, here's a bill that's as easy to understand as a restaurant bill, for example. And
Sure.
here is a service that's as quick to happen as ordering an Uber, or
Uh-huh.
as easy as well. So then tell me some of the innovations that you guys have
Yeah.
created, based on those analogies and those extrapolations.
Got it. Yeah. No. So, for example, we've helped lenders refinance an auto loan in under 5 minutes, right? Like complete that entire process, right? And do it with ever completely without having to talk with an agent, just full automation. Um, and I think what we've been able to do too is to do it at a cost and price point that that is that that is not only like that is not prohibitive, like that only like a JP Morgan could have, right? Like I think any small medium sized lender in the US can actually use these tools today if they would come to us. So what for me, I see lenders as like the engine of the economy, right? So being that engine of the economy, uh, they like everyone knows that a loan multiplies in terms of like growth. So if we can reduce the cost and friction of generating that loan for that business owner, for that student, for that single parent that it so badly needed to like kind of get to that next level, we know that we're doing like a very important contribution to society.
You mentioned the example of an auto loan in under 5 minutes. So as a consumer, right, in my recent vehicle, I started with a lease, and then I wanted to take it from a lease to ownership, get that auto loan that you talked about. And it was such a bear. It was so
Sure.
much work, and it took weeks and so many documents that I had to email, back and forth with, different financial institutions. And it was such a hassle as a consumer.
Yeah.
And it made me feel like, is this really worth it? Because this loan is taking me weeks
Forever.
to land. And finally I got through it and I felt a sense of relief. But if you had told me, Andres, that you could make that process be 5 minutes instead of
Sure.
like 3 weeks or 5 weeks, however long it took, that to me would be so amazing and a worthwhile product for me to.
Yeah.
So is that really something that you were able to?
Absolutely, like a lease buyout and things like that. All of that. It's something that you can power with our system. I'm sorry that I'm not sure who your lease is with, or the problem was on like the bank that was getting you the loan, but that sounds like a completely unnecessary set of hoops. But unfortunately, you're not alone, right? Like millions of Americans are going through that same pain, and that's why the partners that we work with see this as a number one priority in terms of the things that they want to adopt. They want to reduce friction. They do not want to lose people because they just get frustrated and they say, you know what, I'm just gonna return the car after this lease. And I'd rather just buy another one because this is unnecessarily painful.
So how would consumers say I was going to do this again with my next car, right? Say I start with a lease and now, uh, 2 years. I know 2 years into it, I'm going to want to own the car. How would they reach out to you? How would they find you or your
Yeah.
partners?
Yeah. I mean, our partners are multiple, right? So like it will, if, let's say you're at a dealer, you're most likely, when that dealer is sending your credit application, they're sending it to a number of lenders. Not all of them are going to be our partners, but like the ones that probably get them fastest are going to be some of us. Uh, if you're, for example, applying directly through a lender, right? Like there's a number of them that you can use. You can use are using our platform. Obviously, we have multiple of them, so I don't not want to recommend you one in specifics.
But
You can
do
say,
you have
well,
like do you have like a page on your site that recommend?
we have a website, but like our website is B2B, right? Like you wouldn't be able to apply for a loan on our website. It would just be just tell you the benefits and like the audience for which it's written as lenders.
What if would it be what would be the risk, or what would be the negative side of having such a page on your website where a consumer could come and say, is that not allowed? I don't. You have to understand. I'm
Mm.
learn everything that I know is only
Yeah,
from you today, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
consume. Would
yeah.
there be a downside to that for you, to make such a page and say, here are some of our partners, try to get, you want to get your auto loan, work with our partners, here's our page.
Yeah, I would say no. I mean, I would have to probably showcase some parts of the product, and to, I will have to have very good SEO for people trying, and I will have to decide which parts of the product I want to showcase, right? Because we do auto loans, we do credit cards, we do personal loans. So at the startup, that will mean I will have to design a website and all that. So there will be a big uh, kind of economic investment for us to kind of like make all of this, right? And the on top of that, you will probably need to partner with a Credit Karma and their wallet to actually get those leads because uh, SEO takes months to do. So it would be a little bit of a distraction from the common way of actually creating awareness for our product. Um, it it would be, but it would not be a problem. It is not a focus.
Wouldn't be limited from doing that. What are your next steps at Fuse Finance? Like, how are you growing? What's your direction? Where do you want to business moving right now?
I think we're going to be pretty busy, staying in our lane and continue to grow. It's a pretty interesting market. It's vast. There's like thousands of lenders just in the U.S. It's a multi-billion-dollar market. So uh, I think we're going to be pretty focused in terms of like serving our client base, and it's in the growing set of peers that kind of reach out to us.
Yeah. So a lot of your business is inbound, which is a
It's a
wonderful.
combination. There's outbound and there's inbound. Not everyone is always looking for a loan origination system. It's a very small field, so you need to kind of combine both.
In terms of your direction, right? You're just going to continue to do exactly what you're doing. Uh, are you looking to uh, sort of enhance,
Yeah,
automate, or any?
we
Is there?
already do. We already do. Obviously, I think you need to be cautious on where do you actually apply the AI because it's a heavily regulated business industry. But in terms of workflows, kind of I wouldn't necessarily use it for decisioning, but in terms of uh, document readers, making sure that the information is there, sending messages to customers, chat rooms, that kind of stuff is like top of mind for everyone else in the industry.
This is basically a machine that you've built, and like now it's just a matter of, um, you know, enhancing the existing machine and allowing more of the same business to happen. And that's
Exactly, and just adding more and more integrations, right? Like it so think of well of our software as an airport, right? Uh, you start with a few airlines flying into it, and then more airlines, and then the types of planes that land in your airport change. So they go, some of them are short haul, long haul, and then you start having restaurants. So it's that little by little, it's still an airport, right? But it, but it, the, it's, the traffic just goes up.
That's where your SEO can kick in.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
who are your ideal partners that you're looking for to really move things forward, to really move the needle?
Banks, credit unions, finance companies, credit funds, those are kind of our favorite type of customers.
If you had to if you had to pick one above the rest, is there one that's easier for you?
They're all different, uh, but yeah, I think we like each one of them because of the niche and the needs that they have. Um, I wouldn't say we could serve them all quite well.
What would be the difference between some of those things for you?
There's even like the way that they refer to their customers, right? Banks will probably talk about clients, credit unions will talk about members, credit funds will talk about their LPs. It just that the terms are different, right? But um, the the end goal is for all of them is to be more efficient, to reduce friction, uh, increase automation, or reduce wait times for their customers and things like that.
What makes you the person that would create this business? What is it about you that that is in alignment with reducing friction, reducing wait times? Like what part of you makes you interested to keep coming back to this every day?
Well, I'm the son of immigrants, and when my dad moved to the U.S. before we did, and I do remember being a little kid and going to the bank to pick up the money that our dad had sent us, and I always seen the positive effect that banks have, right? So, and lenders as a whole, and if if it's in my power, and like the secret that I have in my life is to make lenders more efficient. I think that is very powerful, right? Because if you think about the last 500 years of human history, they cannot be they cannot be told without mentioning the importance of credit, right? Like from the Renaissance and like just what happened in Europe in the 1700s and 1800s, like just the capitalism, the it all came alongside with like a lot of innovation around credit. So if we can make credit more accessible, and in our case, it's just literally making it cheaper to originate a loan, removing the friction, uh, we might be powering the next frontier of innovation, right? And that is no small task.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes all the partners that you're working with. Like you said, people can finance a car, people can finance a house, people can find a way to improve their lives. What do you see is this next frontier of innovation? Like what do you see are things moving towards?
I think definitely AI is going to have an effect, right? I would say healthcare and banking will be the ones that take the most to be fully effective, because of regulation. But it's still like if you do not have an AI strategy in any industry, but uh, you're toasted. Like that's kind of I think that's going to be for sure the most important trend of in the foreseeable future.
So when you think about like banks and things like what do you see that they could adopt? Like what could be an important strategy for this for
Yeah.
like an AI strategy?
Well, we already see it, right? Like, I think conversational AI just, and as kind of the compute gets better, you're not going to notice that you're speaking with a machine, right? So, the machine is going to keep you on course for what you want, but like, think about just call centers. That is that is for sure an area. The quality of responses, instead of being juggled from one area. Think about going to a call center and you call to the wrong call center, you're going to be sent around like a pinball. Uh, think about if it's an AI, the AI is going to immediately know what you're calling for, and then they're going to put you on a wait time. They are going to look into the library of answers and going to be able to get you an answer as quick as possible. Um, that is an area that I see quite well. Then, of course, when I think about like the post getting approved for a loan, perhaps you need to provide proof of income, proof of residence, or like things like that. Today, you need to print something and take it via email. I'm sure that with APIs, there will be a solution there that will facilitate it and reduce kind of the burden of proof and things like that for the borrower, but also to the lender, right, that is trying to process all that data. And yeah.
When you, yeah. So, okay. So the process, right? Let's just break down the process, right? So I'm a consumer and I want to buy a house, and I go to the bank and I say, I found this house. The house is going to be the collateral. I need, you know, I have a down payment, but I need a loan for the gap, right? So what happens at that point? How does the bank talk to you?
So we don't do mortgages, but like let's say like generically speaking, you want to get a loan, right? So let's say that customer wants to get a loan for, so they will either go to the website or they will be at the branch or they will be on the phone, right? Um, then they will open an application either on their phone, on the branch, and that application, all that data that is being added into the application goes into like source of truth, right? Like a system of record. That system of record is what an LOS is, right? You put all that data there, that data gets processed and a decision is made, right? So, you will put your name, your age, where you live, how much money you want, how much money you make, how many expenses do you have per month, what is your credit score, et cetera, et cetera. And those are kind of like the ingredients, so to speak. And they get put into this decisioning workflow that is this an LOS, and an answer comes out either yes or no, or I just need more information, right? Historically speaking, the yes or no was done by people, right? And like the I need more information was also done by people. So what automation does is like really minimize the amount of human input, meaning codify, because it's not that people were eyeballing things; they were just following a rubric on making that decision. But now that you can actually put that in code, or the engines are powerful enough that every nuanced thing that like that there was kind of tribal knowledge or was written, it was tough to put into code. That can be done. So that's kind of what we do.
Okay, so the decisioning process is taken away from a labor intensive manual process, and you put it into a coded process that is able to reduce the friction and reduce the time, and maybe reduce some of the burden of the information that is required on the person applying for the loan as well.
Yeah, it minimizes keystrokes, right? Like so, what you want is there's nothing more annoying that if you're applying for a loan, there's someone saying like, "Oh, what's your age?" And you're like, "Well, I just gave you my date of birth. Why are you asking me this again, right?" Or what's the mileage of your car? It's like you've asked me this 50 times, right? Or what's if you put the address that the thing doesn't autofill the zip code, or if you put the zip code that it doesn't autofill like city, like all these things that they already exist, but make it leveraging the fact that like the foundation has been built. Why not use it to make the process of applying for a loan much easier for the borrower? And the same thing for the lender, right? That's the technology is out there. Let's just put it together into a system that can be used.
Are you able to like, you know, also get some efficiency out of, because you work with multiple lenders, right? So are you able to also get efficiency then, like if the same person applying for a loan comes to you, comes to a credit union that you work with versus comes to a bank that you work with, are you able to like, make some efficiency there in terms of the data gathered as well, or is that
No, the data belongs to the lender, right? So, and they all have separate environments. So, they it's not that like, oh, if a credit union applies, like the bank knows yeah, that would not. I assure that all of our lenders will not be too pleased with that. They all kind of are have their customers are their customers. They're not our customers. Of course, we care about the well-being of their customers. And but each there's a very clear line between that they belong to the banks themselves and not to us.
okay? Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Because the banks, by keeping their own data, then they're keeping everything intact and they're not influenced by data from another institution. So
Yeah.
they want to make sure that they keep that very solid boundary. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, that makes sense. So again, about you. Let's so we do like four parts in this in these interviews, right? So we talk about four F's, right? Finance, fitness, family, and fun. So the
Uh,
first part is we talk about your business, right? But we
uh,
also want to know a little more about you, right? So
uh,
tell us, Andres, like a little more about your family. Like you mentioned, that when you were a kid, you would go to the bank and you go there with your mom and there was money from your father, like your son of immigrants. Tell us more about your family situation and
yeah.
what are your goals there? Like tell us about your family.
Yeah, no, family's everything, right? My son of immigrants, very, very proud. My parents' journey. My parents live in DC. I live in New York. I have a sister in Switzerland. I'm married to a Norwegian. You can see this. We've expanded the family, and we have and we also have a 1 year old at home. So it's been an amazing journey.
Having a 1 year old, that changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, the best though.
Are you getting any sleep?
Yeah, that he's been. I mean, you just learn how to do uh more with less, right? Like instead of sleeping 6 hours, you sleep 8.
Yeah, when my son was 1 year old, I had to stay up all night carrying him around. Otherwise, he wouldn't stop crying. Do you have
Yeah.
anything like that?
Sorry.
Do you have anything like that where your kid wakes up in the middle of the night? You gotta put him back to sleep. What's going on there?
Yeah. No, yeah. Fortunately, if he wakes up at night, it's probably like a dirty diaper, and yeah, you need to wake up, right? It's not the diaper is not going to change itself, but it's that. But
So
it is.
do you trade off with your wife, or is it always you, or is it always her? Like, how do you do that?
I mean, I think it would be unfair to say that it's a 50-50. My wife is the superhero. I uh, I try to help mostly, and my wife actually dedicated the first year to the baby. But even then, even if she's dedicated to that, it's still like a massive sacrifice. No one. I mean, moms are true heroes.
So what does that mean? Did she take a leave of absence from her job or something to dedicate the first year?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And
yeah. She
so
she she, she took the first year to be a mom. For
so
full time mom.
how has that changed things for you guys? She's available. She's at home now. Like, what does that do for you?
Well, no, the kid is a year, so she's back to work. But for that first year, I mean, definitely a lot of childcare. Uh, she took care of our son, right? So that was I'm immensely grateful, and I feel very fortunate that that's something that we both wanted our son to have. Obviously, I think it's a luxury. I don't think everyone can do that. But and not everyone should do it right. You're not a bad person either if you don't do it. It's, but for us, and for the objectives that we had, we're very lucky that we were both aligned in terms of that.
So what do you, what are what are you looking forward to the most with your son? Like as he's growing up, like what age range are you looking forward to right now the most?
I like the present, honestly, because it's the first one, so I have no idea which age is best. So I just know that now it's cool and I enjoy it. It's as I was writing his birthday card, I, I essentially told him that there's uh, that we cannot that a lot will be written about uh, how how he would be and everything, but the what matters is what I see. What I wanted to tell him is like the little guy that I see today, right? Because that's who he is. Who he would be, it's TBD. But even at this young age, you start seeing like some sparks of personality of what the person that he might be, but who he is today he already has like a lot of magic in it. Of course, he's 99.9% not going to remember any of that, but we are going to remember that, and that's what I wanted to celebrate.
Yeah, yeah. From my perspective, my son's growing up now. Cherish these moments because if you blink, it's gone past you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like,
absolutely. That's kind of how I see it. Mm.
yeah, yeah. So, what? So, what's the most fun thing that you're doing with your son lately? Like, what are you experiencing that's bringing you the most joy here?
I like the mundane, repetitive things of like just in the morning we have a nice boulangerie close to our place here in New York, and I just I buy myself this mini baguette. It's like a super small baguette with salami in it and butter. I kind of tear away a little piece of butter and bread. He has his part. I have my parts. Uh, he is already conditioned to know that he's going to get his small piece. He just 12 months, but a year, but he already knows that that's going to happen. And for 10, 15 minutes, I speak I speak to him. Of course, he doesn't respond, or like at least he doesn't respond in like a language that I can understand. But it's that kind of cute little moment. I enjoy that. I enjoy that kind of energy that he has in the morning in which he's like crawling around and just making the best out of it.
Yeah, that's special time. Are you documenting this? Are you like taking photos, and videos and stuff? Like
Oh yeah, yeah, thousands of photos.
too many.
Yeah, yeah,
You gotta have a photo of every second, right?
exactly. Yeah, no, you can definitely do one of those videos in which like they grow and you see the
Oh, there
face
you go.
changing. That's enough. There's enough of that.
Yeah. So what are your goals? Do you want to have more kids? Like, are you good with one? What's gonna happen?
I think at least for us, it'll be we're probably curious around having it. We both have siblings, so I think we're when time comes, it'll be nice to give the little guy someone to share uh, uh, life with.
What do you think? Like the age difference should be ideally between siblings, like 2 years, 4 years, like
Whatever the parents can deal with. I think for that part that I will leave it to parents.
no. Actually, it is. I think it's in some ways it could be easier to have two because they can play together. They can learn from each other. Did you feel that with your siblings growing up?
Yeah, I mean, it, the, I mean, I at least, well, I don't remember how easy or hard I was as a kid, right? So I'm sure for my parents it was easier, but what I think like I've come to appreciate more as an adult how nice it is to just have that other person in your life that you know it's going to be there probably for much longer than your parents, right? And so you become kind of that shared. You both have that shared experience of like having lived in the same tribe. So
Did you feel like you were influenced by your sibling? Did your sibling like,
my
somehow like
sister's my sister's
change your path?
younger. My sister's my sister is younger, so I don't think the influence was that strong as when we were little kids. She was much more dominant in personality, and she has a very strong personality. Uh, I think we both kind of like saw traits in each other that we love.
And did you change when you saw that trait in her? Did you go, I want to be more like this? Was there something like that?
I'm sure a ton of that. I mean, it's you start so young that not that some of it might be even like second nature to me. Like not even think about it. That you just see certain things that you like, and but yeah, for sure.
You don't have nothing comes to mind like, oh yeah, I remember this thing happened. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wanted to do that thing.
Mm. Not much right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what do you think is the most, so of course you just have a kid, right? So maybe you haven't like done any sort of like things outside the home with the kid. As they get older, you're gonna you're gonna start doing more of that, for sure, because it's fun to introduce the kid to the world as well. Is there anything you're looking forward to? Like, I want to share this with my kid, like some kind of maybe hobby you have or some sort of like location, that you think is cool that you're looking forward to sharing with your kid. Like, hey, we're going to go to the aquarium. You're going to see some really big
Yeah,
fish there. What kind
yeah.
of things are you looking forward to around this?
And and as I said, it would be more like the simple things, right? I think if I had to kind of fast forward, I wouldn't fast forward much. It would be interesting to hear his voice, how he actually sounds uh, the, when he finds his own way to actually say things and how he puts together thoughts. That's probably one of them. That's going to be awesome to see, I'm sure, no matter where you are.
Yeah, yeah, that will be amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So hearing the way they talk, and for a while, there's definitely a period where they say just phenomenal things, really phenomenal. Yeah, yeah, that's gonna be exciting. So what sort of like traditions with your family that you want to that you get value from?
I think that just spending time on the holidays and things like that. That's probably the. I think I have a a very traditional norm kind of set of things that we like to share. Uh, uh, and that's the bit about the human experience, right? Like we have so much more in common. Like, and yeah, I would say the same things, right? Like enjoy a good weekend together, spend New Year's, Thanksgiving, things like that.
Yeah. So what does that look like for you? Like what do you do on those holidays that you like?
Um, all like this the regular stuff. I would say like just to have dinner, lunch, like a big meal we'll cook together. Uh, just conversations, catch ups, see what our hopes and aspirations are for the year. Um, how we're doing, right? Because sometimes during the year, like life passes pretty fast.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's all really important stuff to do, right? Like cooking together.
Yeah.
That's kind of like it's something in itself. Do you
No. but there's someone in the family who probably do it. Yeah,
Some does it.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So like how about you? What would you like if you're there and somebody says, "Hey, what are your hopes and aspirations for the year?" What will you tell them, Andres?
Honestly, the life continues the way it is. I wouldn't change much. I'm very grateful for the opportunity I've been given, the family that I have. Just with time, I've learned to realize that we can want more, and it would probably be asking just for our children, right, to be healthy and continue to in the directions they're going.
Yeah, I think so too. As a parent of a young child, like yeah, of course, health is number one. You know, like I noticed like in Korean culture, like the first birthday, they make a huge deal of it. And I
Yeah,
think all like that celebrating like the health of the child, you know, is what that speaks to me, right? Like we're
yeah,
so this was a huge hurdle. Now we have this huge party.
yeah,
But it's on the 1 year
yeah,
birthday, that huge party. So I
yeah.
thought it was interesting in their culture. What, how about for you? Do you guys, do you do, quinceanera or like what's the boys version of that?
I don't know. Like I think for boys, there's anything. There's anyway, you turn 18, but that's kind of it. For boys, there's nothing. But I guess I've been in the US enough to say that probably for my kid, it will be like the 16-year-olds when they can get their driver's license. Or if you live in New York, probably a bar mitzvah, but that'll be it.
Yeah, yeah. Are you going to teach them how to drive?
Yeah, of course. I love driving. So,
Be prepared. A
yeah,
lot of patience for this job.
yeah, yeah. Nerves of steel, too, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
going to
yeah,
need nerves of steel for that, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I've been through it. That's why I say that, of course. Hopefully, for you, it goes perfectly. But
Yeah, well, with self-driving cars, God knows where that will go. So,
hey, that's true. They could be self-driving or assisted, right?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
actually something I've always felt like we are in a time when we can do this thing, which is actually one of the most dangerous things you could do, right? We're piloting a
yeah,
missile every day, a giant metal missile that weighs thousands of pounds. It's 15 feet long. You know, like
right.
how long is that going to be legal?
Yeah. No, if you think about it, like we get scared of airplane crashes, and like we probably know way more people that have died in a car accident. Like I don't know any friend of mine that has had a plane accident or in a train or anything, but car accidents, I'm sure you have a long list of people that you, if not close, at least people that you knew that had a bad accident on a car. So yeah, it's true.
Yeah, yeah. I think this can't come too soon. This an AI version of helping to protect drivers and keep the streets safe for drivers and pedestrians.
Yeah,
Is that
100%.
so?
Well,
Okay.
now we're getting closer. So that's it. Of course, there's the whole dilemma of like, uh, who, if you're an intersection, if you maximize the outcomes, you're like, if you follow a utilitarian approach, sometimes like there's all this, we were promised self-driving cars 20 years ago, and we still have, the technology is getting there, but it's taking time, right? Because there's also there's dilemmas from a philosophical, not only technology, but how do the machines themselves solve this other invites litigation and things like that.
Of the So you're saying that the AI, by making that decision, then we're gonna have we're gonna have some innovation in terms of the legislation or the litigation of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the example, but I remember reading it something along the lines of like you're in an intersection and like a kid is crossing, but if you run over the kid like you avoid an accident that it kills other 10 people, right? But just it kind of like the trolley problem. The AI equivalent of the trolley problem, right? That if you move the lever, you save X people, but if you don't touch it, but the like people have a big issue kind of with that, right? Like if you ask, the answers are going to be very you're going to diverge a lot. Even the way you phrase the problem creates a distinct set of response.
Yeah, and there's a lot of possible solutions that maybe we haven't thought of yet. One thing I find interesting when I talk to the AI and when I use the AI to try to come up with solutions, it's not always the most creative.
Well, no, yeah, we're still. I I I think the AI is not going to take our jobs yet. But if you do not work with AI doing your job, then you're at a disadvantage, right? So it it right now it's an efficiency enhancer. It's not necessarily like you removing you from the loop, right? But not using it is a disservice to your own time, right? So that's the way I see it. Just well, can we just from a uh, organizational standpoint, I do have a hard stop in 2 minutes. That's my only thing, Michael. I'm sorry. Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
we had we scheduled for 2 hours, right?
I, I'm even in a room that is just, but we can do a little bit more if you want to, but I'm gonna have another call. That's the problem.
Okay. So what do you want to do? You want to hop off?
Or you tell me what's the best way to do it.
You're the one telling me right now.
Yeah. No.
I told you it's a two
Yeah.
hour. So whatever you want to do, Andres.
Um, do you want to do, how do you usually put them together if you do a second part for another hour?
I've never done it that way.
And it always lasts 2 hours, or like sometimes it could be an hour and a half.
It could be an hour. We could try for an hour and a half.
Let's see if I can move some things here. Yeah, I could probably do hour and 20. It will work if I
Let's try.
push a little. Okay, awesome. Sorry about that.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
So let's yeah, I like talking about the AI stuff, but let's,
Oh,
because I want to get some more of these the structure of the interview, like let's talk about your fitness. So
yeah.
it's tough to sit all day, right?
Yeah.
At our desks, which is what we're all doing at the computer all day. How do
Uh,
you keep your energy and how do you stay fit? Like what's your
well,
fit like?
I would say it's probably like the most lacking part of my all the F. It's I would I would say I'm healthy, but compared to like some of my peers, I think that there's a lot of room for opportunity. Uh, I during my banking years, I stopped. I didn't really enjoy much having lunch anymore because I had a big performance drop. I would just, if I had lunch, I would just get pretty tired, or like or like if I had too much work in the afternoon, I would just not enjoy the process of eating at lunch. So I kind of um, stopped having big lunches to the point that I basically just eat once a day today. Uh, that's during the week though. During the weekdays, the weekends, I just go back to a normal, kind of like meal that, of course, because you're just more, you're in a different, you're in a much more loose type of mindset. Um, and in terms of like, when having a kid now is very hard to find time, but like we play pickleball, or if I'm on the road traveling, I always try to go to the gym, or the hotels. Uh, if I find myself one more time, I'll try to do yoga on Saturdays. That's kind of like key things. And er, I would say one of the biggest benefits of having a kid is you definitely stop drinking. Like you stop drinking a lot. Like you just first and foremost because your wife cannot drink, so there's no reason for you to drink alone. And then once the kid arrives, like you probably have been not drinking for a good number of months. if not 9 months. And you find yourself that like whenever you drink, you just feel terrible afterwards. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's I think what you said is they're all those things are all really important, right? So you're doing one meal a day during the week. So you're really cutting down on calories,
most
right?
likely, yeah, yeah.
So is that breakfast? Is that dinner? I know you're not
I just
doing
have
lunch.
I only do dinner. I only do dinner. I mean, I have a coffee and a water during the day. It's not, but as far as like ingestion of food, like it's just once a day.
Yeah. And that's increased your energy.
Yeah, definitely not the affected negatively. Like not that I noticed. My focus is the same. Uh, it, and yeah, I haven't
I
had
think
zero issues.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I've actually just in this last couple of weeks, I've been doing one meal a day as well, and
Oh wow.
it's really increased my energy. And same thing, I notice if I eat outside that time, it drags my energy down.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, I am not recommending anyone to do this. That for me, it was kind of what I worked, and it was a byproduct of just I I not because you hear about intermittent fasting and all that. I'm not sure what the science is on that. I'm going to guess uh it's going to be split. So at the very minimum, so it's more like just what works for your body, what works for your brain. So yeah,
Yeah,
and or yeah, there is there's the science and there's also like what inside that kind of works for you. And unfortunately for me, if the science that this is bad, this is kind of what works. So I might change over time, but today I find myself more efficient.
yeah, yeah. We're Neither of us are doctors here, so we're not
Yeah,
recommending any health
yeah.
tips or anything. For me, I the reason why I did it was I felt bloated when I was
Mhm,
eating like multiple meals, and I was like, I want to give my body a break, and so I compressed it into like I'm just eating one meal, and like
mhm,
just feel better. Talk to my trainer, she's like, it's fine,
mhm,
from her perspective, like
mhm.
do it for a while, and then she said, then change if you need to. What do you get out of yoga? I've tried yoga and I'll do a stretch and then I'm like, I never want to do this again. Like, what do you get out of yoga?
Peace of mind. Like just I like the in the era of phones and all of that. It's just a very I am not religious, but I do remember going to religious services when I was a kid, and there's something about that moment of silence and self reflection um that I enjoyed, and I found yoga to be the secular version of it. Although yoga is founded on a religious component, but for me it was kind of like I think all sort of denominations find themselves kind of stretching themselves and like uh, finding a lot of peace in those 45 minutes to an hour that you're on a yoga mat. Um, yeah, that's kind of what I've come to enjoy about. It's not that I'm like that flexible either. I just like that process of little by little focusing on something, being forced to focus, and kind of erasing all the noise you have in your brain.
What's reminding me of is a sound bath. Have you done one of those?
I heard about it. I haven't done one yet.
Yeah, you might like that.
Mhm.
You might want to check it out. Maybe they
Yeah,
have it at the gym or somewhere near
yeah.
you.
No, I'm
What
sure New
what
York has one. It probably sounds like it's going to be super expensive though.
or
Yeah,
it's included at my gym, so maybe
yeah,
it's at a gym near you or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
What do you do at the gym?
Just I do like mostly the ellipticals, some weights, and yeah, that's kind of my regular stuff. Maybe I will do some rowing if there's a rowing machine.
Do
A lot of
you
my gym time is actually at a hotel, so hotels are not necessarily that great at having consistency. You will always have an elliptical, and you always have the weights. But the rest is more TBD if they will have it.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get
Yeah,
when you the hotel.
yeah.
So you just use whatever is there.
Whatever's there. Yeah,
The
yeah,
found object approach is
yeah,
good.
yeah.
And how'd you get into pickleball?
My parents just gave us the rackets, and I consider pickleball like the greatest equalizer of sports because everyone is just as bad at the beginning, and so it's just kind of fun, and it's just it's very pure in it at its core because everyone's so bad at then people get good at it, right? But at the foundational level, it creates just that sheer joy of just having a good time. And that's kind of what pickleball is for us, just having a good time.
Why is it better than like tennis, or why is it better than like ping
Well, I
pong?
think tennis is harder. I think that tennis is far more technical, right? The pickleball, you can hit the ball very hard, but it somehow manages its way in the court. Tennis, like you actually need to be technical, much, uh, uh, much better footwork and all that. I think pickleball is much easier and creates like uh that base that everyone can play. Um, no, I love tennis. I play tennis too, but it just it, what it's a completely different game. Although it looks very similar.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, just describe quickly the difference between pickleball and tennis for you.
Oh, the size of the court, the balls, the rackets are very different. I think the height of the net is also very different. The rules, the scoring, um, the how many players, uh, how it changes the size of the court. There's a lot of those things, and frankly speaking, I still do not know all the all the rules of pickleball. I think I play pickleball a la Andres.
Made your own rules.
Yeah,
That's good. Yeah, as long as you're having fun.
yeah, exactly. That's kind of why I like it. It feels that kind of like when you're like 4 hours into playing Monopoly, like people just start playing their own rules because people want to go home.
And then, so yeah, what do you play other like board games or things like that? So we're
Yeah, we played Yahtzee a lot during COVID. But not much else. The Yahtzee is easy. Like you're done in 5-10 minutes. It's pure luck. Not no, and their strategies is very de minimis.
what Yahtzee that okay, so Boggle is the one with numbers. Yahtzee is or no, Yahtzee is the one with numbers and the
Yes, the
dice.
numbers. Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah,
it's basically like you're playing poker, but with dice.
kind of, kind of. It's way more simple than poker at all. I think
Yeah.
that poker players will find it like, how dare you? Yeah.
So what is like the most fun that you have that like if you're gonna do something fun, what is it that you do?
For me, it's actually going on a long walk and having a great conversation, and I love doing that. Like that's my and we could be in any city you are, just walking through that city, living, breathing it. That I love. Or just going through a park. Uh, I derive a lot of pleasure from that sense of moving forward. And I remember like reading this book. Might be the book by Bob Iger, and he mentions that apparently Steve Jobs loved taking going for long walks because even if you disagree at the core, you're still moving forward. So I think walking is cathartic of an experience. Even when you're alone, just listening to a book, it just feels pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, walking it's healthy. You can't do negative things that hurt you like drink alcohol
Yeah,
because you're
yeah,
walking.
yeah,
You can think, right? And like you said, you can progress in a conversation even if you're just by yourself. You could think, or you could talk to someone
yeah.
else. What for you is a great conversation?
I think as an extrovert, I've learned to enjoy the art of listening. That and asking a lot of questions, like uh, that. I, that back and forth. Um, especially when you're younger, and I think extroverts uh, forget the fact that they're the ones kind of sucking all the air. And I think as you become older, it's fascinating to actually continue to be an extrovert, but instead of like speaking about yourself, you're asking the questions. Just
So you like to ask the questions so the other person can feel like they have. Tell me why it's fun to ask the questions.
because you know the answers for your. If someone asks you something, extroverts are usually going to at least have a response. I think, well, for introverts, it's kind of interesting, or even if they're also extroverts, right? It's just not, it's just boring. A life in which you're the one only speaking is kind of boring, right? So it's nice to see how other people think and compare that to where the way you think, right? Or even I find it interesting to when you ask a question, you also have an answer in your mind of maybe let me guess how this person can answer. Maybe you're completely wrong, right? Or you have your own thoughts, or sometimes you have a void on for that answer, and you like that answer and you use it for your own life. So it's far more interesting. It's kind of like a discovery. It kind of goes along the lines of like that walking, right?
Because you're finding something new, which I think is one of those great things that you're also experiencing as a dad right now.
Yeah,
Like you're uncovering your son's personality, you're seeing what might be the direction his personality is going to go to, and it's exciting
yeah, absolutely.
because he's not you. That's the amazing thing about kids. They're them.
Yeah, yeah, and they're their own entity, and they will always be. And to not be fooled by the fact that they need you. You don't need you. They, my grandma used to. I think she borrowed this from someone else, right? But like, what she would say is that they're not your. He's not your son. He's the son of life. It's true. Like, they're-
He's not your son. He's the son of life. Whoa.
so
What does
I
that
mean,
mean
of
to
course,
you?
I mean, you're a caretaker, but eventually, like that person your sole purpose should be that they're going to be independent and that they're going to do good in the world, but you're not going to control them. Your responsibility is to create someone that it's or influence him or her to be uh, a person of character and of integrity, but they're their own thing. So you can also impose like the you're not going to impose your hopes and dreams on them, right? They are going to have their own set of hopes and dreams, and they're going to fight to get them. And if you can help, you can help, but it's theirs. It's their victories to achieve.
That's beautiful. And I completely agree. I think that's what parenting is all about. You find a way to help them express what it is that they want, and then you find a way to help them support them so that they can become the person who gets the thing that they want.
Separate.
And while helping them to be a good person and to have the values that that we all want to share.
Separate.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is the lightning round part, Andres. So just real quick, I'm going to ask you like direct, real direct questions, and then just give me like your best answer to these. Okay. So, what has been your best investment for your financial health? It can be a book, an idea, a thing you did, but like, or it could be an investment vehicle, like literally. What is the best investment for you in your life for your financial health?
I think I'm just gonna be boring. The Vanguard 2055 fund.
Okay, so just explain real quickly for everybody who doesn't know, like what is the
It's
Vanguard 55 fund?
just a retirement fund, right? Like that it, the there is so many other things you can be a specialist on, and like you kind of trust the market.
Oh, it's a broad, it's like an index fund. You just put your money in there and you forget about it, and it's going to go up like 7, 8% along with the rest of all of the S&P 500 or whatever the broad index
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
It's there's so many other variables in your life that but that one is already kind of weighted for stuff. I mean, I've done like smaller stock picking, and of course I'm an entrepreneur, but like that one's TBD if it's going to be a good return on money. It's and you can either invest in me most likely. So I'm trying to give more broad advice, and just find a retirement account that it's for your age group, and but definitely try to be invested. I mean, broadly speaking, most generations have done well by investing in the stock market if they can do it, right? Of course, do not invest with debt, invest with actual saving. Uh, and I do remember though that during the financial crisis, that generation lost their lifetime savings too. So there is risk involved.
Absolutely. And then what's been your best investment for fitness?
Mm, I think the Apple Watch is pretty good. Uh, in terms of reminding you that you're being lazy.
Reminds you when you're lazy, like it has an inactive like
Yeah,
chime thing.
yeah, and also like having good tennis shoes, right? I think that you feel guilty if you're not using them. So every time you open your closet, you see them there unused. It's a reminder that you should give them, and they're comfortable and nice to be in with. So just they invite you to kind of go for that stroll.
What about the Apple Watch? Like what exactly does it do for you again? Just to
It takes I mean, I'm sure there's way better than the Apple Watch, but it will measure your blood pressure, your heart rate, and it will tell you if you're like stressed, and it will tell you, hey, you haven't stood up in hours, stand up and walk. Like you got just basic stuff that you forget. It has a step counter and all of those things that kind of help.
nice. And then what has been your best investment for your family health?
Calling each other, call it that's communication. That's it seems obvious, but most people just lose touch with the loved ones.
And then
Mental
after
health, definitionally. People don't despair is a thing, right? So keep each other connected and reminded that you love each other.
it's beautiful. And then so what has been your best investment for fun?
Building a business, the most fun thing I've ever done.
What made it fun for you?
Every day, it's it's just the day to day. There's no one single thing. It's just the journey that it's exhilarating. It's fun. I love it. It's your baby. Like it's a wide canvas, and like just no day is the same. So that's something that I enjoy.
So where can people find you? Like if they want to work with you, if they want to reach out to you for more information, where do they find you?
I would say LinkedIn is the best source. I had great mentors, so if I can return the favor, paid forward, would love to do that.